I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. Rawr, rawr.
Mike Bohn here in Miami in the aftermath of UFC 314, a wild night last night at the Kaseya Center here with Henry Cejudo to break it all down, discuss what's next for some of the key winners and losers. But Henry, I think we got to start at the top. Alexander Volkanovski gets that title back. Very tough fight of the night. What did you think of his performance and what Diego Lopes did in there as well?
Yeah, Volkanovski did look good, but man, if he gets touched up, I almost feel like there's something to it. Like he over-exaggerates when Diego was hitting him. Even though Diego did, he's got to be careful with that. I can go back and see why is it that Ilia Topuria ended up knocking him out. He does a lot of things good, but he does a lot of things wrong, man. Particularly defensively. He's always doing this, or he'll go for the takedown and he'll come up without his hands coming up. And I felt like if Diego really invested in that hook, it'd be a little different. I think he goes back to the tape and actually watch it. I think that's an area for any fighter that Volkanovski looking to take down. There is an opportunity there. But, I mean, overall, man, I think 145 pounds, I think for me, for a guy like Volkanovski, I mean, you would have to go with Loev. You know, you would have to go that route or potentially, I know the UFC loves Aaron Pico. Match him up with Aaron Pico.
Right, title shot right off the bat.
Right off the back, man. I think Aaron Pico is a new being coming into the UFC. But if Patricia would have won, he would have deserved it over Iloev. Iloev is not really a household name. I can see why people are trying to fight him. Like, there's nothing here that's really going to put somebody in danger. And the grappling stuff, like Volkanovski's not going to get taken down, I don't believe. So, but I will say this, before I get to Volkanovski, I feel like Gene Silva could skip the line. I truly do, man. I truly do believe that if I'm Gene Silva, I'm looking to call out possibly Yair Rodriguez, and then winner of that fight fights for the title. Yeah. You know, is that too far stretched? The dude's becoming a fan favorite. He's been able to really pick up that game with the who. Shit, he had me doing it all night. So I feel like if he plays his cards right, he could potentially be one fight away from fighting for the title.
Yeah, I mean, you look at these other guys like Yair Rodriguez, obviously, he just fought Volk not that long ago, so you do need some of the fresh names. Volk's wanting to be very active, so it seems like, you know, he could go through some of these guys. The Movsar one is interesting, 9-0 in the UFC, but 9 decisions, and no one has ever started their UFC career with 9 straight wins, all by decision. So I think he needs something a little bit more there.
Yeah, I think the lawyer fight, I mean, I like him because he's undefeated. I was super high on him, but I felt like Aljamain got the better of that fight. And I was talking to Aljamain yesterday. He's like, you lost it in the last 90 seconds, dude. You know what I'm saying? You should have just kept controlling, but that's what the judges see. Competitively, he won, but judge-wise, I can see why they gave it to him. So I feel like 145, I feel like it's right open. I feel like the person that should come back is Max Holloway. I think Max Holloway does a number on everybody at that weight class.
I think he beats Volk now.
Yes, 100%. I feel like, yeah, just based on how obviously he did get knocked out by Ilia too, but I just feel like his volume, and I feel like he's healthier. He's got the better chin, and I feel like it'll definitely be different this time around.
Fascinating. And then for Diego Lopes on the other side, do you just have to do the Yair Rodriguez fight in Mexico? I mean, I know you mentioned John Silva, but it's right there. You have a great beef. You got a great location and date.
Yeah, you have to. And I think, you know, the whole beef is, and I get shit for it. And it's ironic that I'm American and I'm happy. I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. But for Diego, it's different. Like, I was even talking to the Brazilians, and the Brazilians were a little like kind of not too happy with him. It's like, why is he coming out with a Mexican song? You know what I'm saying? They're just, or not, they didn't necessarily say it, but they're just like, they kind of got confused. But I understand Diego's side. I understand the fact that, you know, he's been living in Mexico, he's doing all that, and I feel like, you know, a couple of comments that Yair said, it's a storyline. He says, you're representing a country that you're not from, you're doing it for the likes. So that's what the whole thing was about. So the storyline is there, ladies and gentlemen. I do feel like that's the fight to make. That's the fight to make. Yair Rodriguez versus Diego Lopes. It's a no-brainer. Main event. I'm not sure if it's going to be. I'm not sure if it's going to be a pay-per-view card, but it's
UFC 320. But still, that's a great co-main event. Anything like that.
The co-main event, you make it 5 rounds. You let these dudes scrap it out. You let the beef come out. You get the complete storyline because it looked like somebody got jumped by. From what I took from it, I don't want to start anything here, but it looked like what I heard in Spanish. It was some of Diego's team had beat up somebody from Yair's team. Am I right there?
No, that's pretty much inaccurate.
Or
It's
am I
like,
instigating?
no, that's largely accurate. Marco, I can't remember his last name. He was on the Ultimate Fighter. There's a lot of history there between the teams.
You got to get Marco out, because I think Marco's going to really sell that card. And if he's not in the UFC, you get him into the UFC and you make him fight maybe one of Diego's friends. This is where the UFC is really, really good, man. But I think it comes down to the athletes. The athletes got to step up, like what Gene Silva is doing, him promoting the fight. Oh. That's a lot of pressure, man. Like he's like, once I'm like, obviously my shit's a gimmick. Sorry guys, sorry to tell you guys.
Breaking news.
But once wins is over, like the competitor comes out. And I think for like Gene Silva's, like he's bringing that shit all the way to the very end. Jesus Christ, where he's fucking right in front of Bruce Buffer. So to me, in my eyes, the person that really stole the show at UFC 314, his name is Gene Silva.
Okay, I somewhat disagree. I feel the man who stole the show was Paddy Pimblett in the co-main event. What an epic performance. I mean, surpassed all expectations. How impressed were you by Paddy Pimblett, what he did to Michael Chandler?
No, you're 100% right. I'm going to have to go with you, Mike. I totally forgot about, mate. No, he did. I actually called it, dude. I actually called that when me and Kamaru, we had talked about it. Like, I'm not going to underestimate Paddy again until maybe he goes up against a guy like Islam. I feel like, dude, it's not too far stretch for him to potentially, beat the top fives. Charles Oliveira. You cannot count that dude out, man. The style of mixing is in. Marab, they don't got the prettiest striking. They know how to mix it. Drickus do DDP. You have Bilal Muhammad. That style is in, guys, and it's somewhat of a phase, and you don't got to have the sharp. You don't got to be an Israel Adesanya. You don't got to be, a pretty striker or the best wrestler. Like, if you're well-rounded, man, it's very problematic.
Yeah, I mean, Paddy called out everyone in the top five. Which fight would appeal to you most? Paddy versus Charles, Paddy versus Gaethje, Paddy versus Arman, or Paddy versus Ilya?
I like the Paddy versus Ilya. I feel like there's a storyline there, and that's what I always look at. And they shook hands not too long ago, but again, the beef starts. Paddy, opened his mouth. He said that's the fight to make, and I do feel like they're more likely going to make Justin Gaethje versus Islam, because when I remember speaking to Khabib, and he says, no, man, this guy, sure, we'll give him a chance, but he's got to fight the number one contender. He's got to fight somebody in the top five in order for him to get that title. Like, these Dagestanis, man, they're different. Like, Khabib is now what his dad was. That's how that culture, that's how they are. So Islam will fight anybody, anytime, anywhere. But I think Khabib will step in and say, no, man, you got to prove it. You got to earn it. And I think the UFC respects Khabib enough to say, it's Khabib.
We'll see what happens there. Okay, last person, Michael Chandler, 1-5 in his past 6. We know he is exciting, but it seems like the results are kind of getting more lopsided as we go on. 37 years old. Can he turn this around, or are we just seeing so many miles in the tank? Is this kind of the end?
No, I get it, man. I'm 3-0 now. I'm 0-3. I'm sorry. So I get it, Chandler. But damn, that 5, he probably has to get one more and just consider retirement. That's a lot of beatings, man. I think Chandler could have been the best in the world. And I even told this to him. He's too much of a crowd pleaser. And that has really bit him in the ass. You guys remember like Mike Perry too. Like Mike Perry was a crowd pleaser too. And, it's just only a certain time before the UFC just says, hey, man, thank you for pleasing us, but we gotta move on. And I feel like Chandler, they're probably going to, at this point, maybe the UFC might give him a younger guy. And that's typically what happens in this game.
Yeah, if it's not a younger guy, it could someone like a Moicano or like someone also coming off a loss in the lower end of the top 15. There is options, but it feels like the exclusive times of him fighting only top 5 guys are kind of over now.
Yeah, I would say so. And I think he did give Paddy a shot, but who knows, man? I think there could be a lot of fun fights. Maybe a Max Holloway. If Max Holloway goes up to 55, give him a little introduction, just so maybe Max could get his feet wet and see what it's like to go up against a powerful, stronger fighters at 155 pounds.
For sure. Okay, Henry, before I let you go, I know you had a busy week. You did a lot of podcasts and stuff. Like, what outside of the fights, what was your highlight of the week here in Miami?
Honestly, the people, man. I think maybe me getting booed. I think
Aljo just jumping in your frame in the broadcast there?
Or maybe they moved because of that. Nah, we're cool, man. Aljo, I didn't like that sucker for a minute, but he's, when it's all said and done, we've competed against each other, and it's fun. And I would say that, man. I think the UFC event, man, just seeing President Trump come out and support this great sport, like he's growing it like he wouldn't believe him. I'm just thankful for that.
Sure, man. Well, I appreciate the time, Henry. Appreciate you being here for a special edition of the Matchmaker. UFC 314 in the books. This is Triple C. I'm Mike B. Have a good day, everyone.